Imagine living a life of boundless potential, yet feeling trapped by an invisible force, an inner conflict that seems impossible to resolve. What if I told you that understanding this conflict could completely transform how you see yourself and your place in the world today? We embark on a journey through the profound psychological insights of Carl Gustav Jung to explore the concept of the Puer Aeternus, or the eternal child, and its modern implications for personal growth and fulfillment. Stay with me until the end, where I'll share the most transformative realization about this archetype, a discovery that might just unlock the hidden door to your own awakening. The Puer Aeternus is a term borrowed from Latin, signifying the eternal youth or childlike spirit that resides within many individuals. On the surface, it symbolizes creativity, boundless energy, and the unrelenting pursuit of dreams. Yet beneath this surface lies a shadow, a deep and often painful struggle with responsibility, maturity, and the realities of life. Jung used this archetype to describe a psychological pattern in individuals who cling to an idealized youthful existence, unwilling to confront the demands of adulthood. But what does this mean in today's context? Think for a moment about the countless people, young and old, who seem to live in a state of perpetual adolescence. They are enchanted by dreams of what life could be, yet paralyzed by the fear of what it actually is. Perhaps you've experienced this struggle yourself, a longing for freedom and adventure, tempered by a simultaneous fear of commitment and accountability. The eternal child is not merely a youthful spirit. It is a deeply rooted psychological archetype that manifests in subtle and profound ways. It can appear in our reluctance to settle down, our avoidance of meaningful work, or our endless pursuit of novelty and excitement at the expense of stability. This archetype is as alluring as it is dangerous, offering us the illusion of endless possibilities, while quietly sabotaging our growth. Carl Jung believed that the Puer Aeternus reflects a critical imbalance in the psyche. While it embodies the spark of creativity and imagination, it also represents an escape from the harsh truths of reality. In Jungian psychology, the challenge is not to suppress this archetype, but to integrate it, to channel its boundless energy into something meaningful and enduring. Have you ever found yourself stuck between dreaming of an ideal future and feeling unable to take the steps necessary to achieve it? This tension is the hallmark of the eternal child. It whispers promises of perfection and endless freedom, but often leaves us feeling empty, disconnected, and unfulfilled. Jung warned that living in the shadow of the Puer Aeternus can lead to a life of perpetual dissatisfaction. He saw this pattern is a product of modern society, where the pressures of adulthood often clash with a culture that glorifies youth, spontaneity, and individuality. In his writings, Jung emphasized the importance of confronting this inner child, not to destroy it, but to transform it into a source of wisdom and resilience. How then do we confront this archetype within ourselves? How do we balance the longing for freedom with the necessity of responsibility? These are questions we begin to answer today. First, we must understand that the Puer Aeternus is not inherently negative. It is a source of immense potential, a wellspring of creativity and innovation. The problem arises when this energy is left unchecked, leading to a life of fleeting pleasures and unrealized dreams. Jung believed that the key to growth lies in recognizing this inner child without letting it dominate our actions. This journey requires self-awareness and courage. It means facing our fears of failure, rejection, and loss. Fears that often keep us rooted in the safety of the eternal child. It means embracing the discomfort of growth and stepping into the unknown, even when every fiber of our being longs to retreat into the familiar. As we continue, we'll explore the practical steps to achieving this transformation. We'll delve into the tools Jung proposed for integrating the Puer Aeternus into a balanced, fulfilling life, and will uncover the deeper truths that lie at the heart of this archetype, truths that can lead us not only to personal fulfillment, but to a greater understanding of our shared humanity. For now, I leave you with this question: how often do you find yourself torn between the dreams of your inner child and the responsibilities of your adult self? Reflect on this as we move forward, because the answers you uncover might just change the way you see your life and yourself forever. The Puer Aeternus is deeply intertwined with the duality of human existence, our desire for boundless freedom versus our need for structure and meaning. In Jung's view, this archetype often appears during pivotal moments in life, particularly during transition, adolescence, midlife, and even later stages of life can all awaken this inner child, calling us to question the paths we've chosen and the lives we've built. But why does this archetype hold such power over us? To answer that, we must delve deeper into its origins. Jung believed that the Puer Aeternus is rooted in our collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of archetypes and symbols that shape human experience. The eternal child is a reflection of our universal longing for innocence, wonder, and the infinite possibilities of youth. It reminds us of a time before responsibility and hardship became part of our daily lives. A time when the world felt full of promise, yet this longing can become a trap. Consider the myth of Icarus. The boy who flew too close to the sun, his wings crafted from wax and feathers, symbolized his youthful ambition and boundless dreams. But his refusal to heed the warnings of his father deeds ultimately led to his downfall. Like Icarus, those who live solely in the realm of the Puer Aeternus risk being consumed by their illusions, falling into despair when reality inevitably intrudes. This myth serves as a metaphor for the dangers of over-identifying with the eternal child. It's easy to be seduced by the promise of freedom and escape. But these promises often come at a cost. Relationships, careers, and personal growth can all suffer when we refuse to confront the responsibilities of adulthood. The eternal child may inspire us to dream, but dreams without action are like seeds without soil; they cannot grow. Jung offered a path forward, a way to transcend the limitations of the Puer Aeternus, while preserving its gifts. He called this process individuation. The journey toward becoming a whole, integrated self. Individuation requires us to confront our inner child, to embrace its creativity and wonder. While also acknowledging its shadows, it demands that we face our fears of failure and imperfection, and accept the realities of life with courage and grace. This process is not easy. It requires a willingness to look inward, to examine the beliefs and behaviors that keep us stuck in a state of perpetual adolescence. Jung believed that this inner work is essential for personal growth, as it allows us to transform the energy of the eternal child into something constructive and enduring. By integrating this archetype, we can harness its power to fuel our creativity, inspire our ambitions, and enrich our lives. But what does this integration look like in practice? It begins with self-reflection. Jung encouraged us to ask difficult questions. What are we avoiding by clinging to the eternal child? What fears and insecurities lie beneath our reluctance to grow? These questions are not meant to shame or criticize, but to illuminate the hidden aspects of our psyche. Next comes the courage to act. This means taking small but meaningful steps toward responsibility and accountability. It might involve pursuing a long-held dream with discipline and focus, committing to a relationship with sincerity and depth, or simply showing up for ourselves in a consistent and authentic way. Each step, no matter how small, moves us closer to a balanced and fulfilling life. Jung also emphasized the importance of relationships in this process. The eternal child often struggles with intimacy and connection, fearing the vulnerability that comes with truly being seen. Yet it is through relationships that we learn to grow, to give and receive love, and to find meaning beyond ourselves. By embracing the challenges of connection, we can begin to heal the wounds of the Puer Aeternus and discover the joy of shared growth. As we reflect on these ideas, let's consider the role of culture and society in shaping the eternal child. In many ways, modern culture encourages us to remain in a state of perpetual adolescence, from the glorification of youth and beauty to the endless pursuit of instant gratification. We are bombarded with messages that feed the archetype of the Puer Aeternus. Social media, in particular, plays a powerful role in perpetuating this illusion, offering a curated version of reality that often leaves us feeling inadequate and unfulfilled. Yet, within these challenges lies an opportunity. By recognizing the influence of these external forces, we can begin to reclaim our agency, make conscious choices about how we want to live. We can choose to embrace the wisdom of the eternal child without being consumed by its shadows. We can honor our dreams while also committing to the hard work of bringing them to life. As we continue our journey, we'll explore the tools and strategies that can help us navigate this delicate balance, from mindfulness and self-awareness to the insights of Jung psychology. These practices can guide us toward a more integrated and authentic existence. And in the final part of our discussion, we'll uncover the ultimate lesson of the Puer Aeternus, a truth that has the power to transform not only our lives, but our understanding of what it means to be human. For now, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. Where do you see the eternal child in your life? How is it shaped your choices, your relationships, and your sense of self? These reflections are the first steps on a journey toward greater self-awareness and growth. A journey that holds the promise of profound transformation now that we've identified the presence of the Puer Aeternus and the ways it manifests in our lives. Let us turn to the process of integration. To integrate this archetype is not to reject it, but to transform it into a source of strength, creativity, and purpose. This transformation is the heart of Jung's concept of individuation, a journey towards becoming whole, where every aspect of the psyche is acknowledged, accepted, and harmonized. But how do we begin this journey? First, we must confront the shadow of the Puer Aeternus in Jungian psychology. The shadow represents the unconscious parts of ourselves that we often deny or repress. These are the fears, insecurities, and unresolved conflicts that keep us trapped in a state of perpetual youth. For the eternal child, the shadow often takes the form of resistance to responsibility, to limitation, and to the vulnerability required to grow to face this shadow. We must cultivate radical self-honesty. This means looking inward with courage and compassion, acknowledging the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. It's not an easy process, but it's a necessary one. Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." By bringing the shadow into the light of awareness, we take the first step toward reclaiming our agency. One practical way to explore the shadow is through journaling. Write about the patterns you notice in your life, the dreams you chase, the responsibilities you avoid, the relationships you struggle to maintain. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I afraid of facing? These questions are like keys unlocking the door to deeper self-understanding. Another powerful tool is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. This practice helps us recognize when the eternal child is influencing our decisions, allowing us to pause and choose a more conscious response. For example, when we feel the urge to abandon a project because it seems too difficult or boring. Mindfulness allows us to sit with that discomfort and explore its roots instead of impulsively giving up. As we confront the shadow, we must also nurture the gifts of the Puer Aeternus. The eternal child is not simply a source of immaturity, it is a wellspring of imagination, curiosity, and wonder. By embracing these qualities, we can infuse our lives with creativity and joy. The key is to channel these gifts into constructive pursuits, projects, relationships, and goals that align with our values and aspirations. Consider the example of an artist. The eternal child might inspire their creativity, fueling their passion for exploration and self-expression. But without structure and discipline, that energy can become scattered, leading to frustration and stagnation. By balancing the freedom of the child with the focus of the adult, the artist can turn their dreams into reality, creating work that is both meaningful and enduring. This balance is not limited to creative pursuits in our everyday lives. We can harness the energy of the eternal child to approach challenges with curiosity and openness. Instead of viewing obstacles as burdens, we can see them as opportunities for growth and discovery. This shift in perspective allows us to engage with life more fully, transforming even mundane tasks into moments of presence and purpose. As we continue this journey, it's essential to surround ourselves with support. Jung emphasized the importance of relationships in the process of individuation. Friends, mentors, and loved ones can act as mirrors, reflecting our strengths and weaknesses and helping us see ourselves more clearly. They can also provide encouragement and accountability as we navigate the challenges of growth. But relationships are not without their difficulties, especially for those influenced by the Puer Aeternus. The eternal child often struggles with intimacy, fearing the vulnerability and commitment that deep connection requires. To overcome this fear, we must learn to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. It is through vulnerability that we form genuine connections, allowing ourselves to be seen and supported in our journey. This brings us to a critical insight. The integration of the Puer Aeternus is not a solitary endeavor. It is a process that unfolds within the context of community and connection. By sharing our struggles and insights with others, we not only deepen our own understanding, but also inspire those around us to embark on their own journeys of growth. Let's pause here to reflect on the broader implications of this work. The struggle with the eternal child is not unique to individuals. It is a reflection of a cultural and societal challenge in a world that often prioritizes instant gratification over long-term fulfillment. We are collectively called to balance the dreams of youth with the wisdom of maturity. By doing this work on an individual level, we contribute to a larger shift, a movement toward a more balanced and integrated society. As we move toward the final part of our discussion, I invite you to think about the ways you can begin integrating the Puer Aeternus into your own life. What dreams are you ready to pursue with focus and discipline? What possibilities are you ready to embrace with courage and grace? These questions are not just about self-improvement, they are about self-actualization. The process of becoming the person you were meant to be. In the next section, will uncover the ultimate lesson of the eternal child, a realization that holds the power to transform not only your understanding of this archetype, but your entire approach to life. This is where our journey reaches its climax, offering a perspective that can illuminate the path forward with clarity and purpose. As we come to the culmination of our exploration, it's time to uncover the ultimate lesson of the Puer Aeternus. This lesson is not merely about understanding the eternal child. It is about transforming our relationship with this archetype, and in doing so, transforming ourselves at its core. The Puer Aeternus represents a paradox. It embodies both the boundless potential of youth and the limitations that come with avoiding growth. To integrate this archetype is to embrace the tension between these opposites, finding a way to honor the dreams of the eternal child while stepping into the grounded wisdom of the adult. Carl Jung believed that the key to resolving this paradox lies in what he called the union of opposites. This concept is central to his philosophy, emphasizing the need to reconcile conflicting aspects of the psyche to achieve wholeness for the Puer Aeternus. This means balancing the freedom of youth with the responsibility of maturity, the spontaneity of the child with the discipline of the adult. But how do we achieve this balance? In practical terms, it begins with a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing responsibility as a burden, we can see it as an opportunity, a chance to create a life of meaning and purpose. Responsibility does not have to stifle our dreams. It can give them structure and direction. By committing to the hard work of growth, we lay the foundation for a life that is both fulfilling and free. Consider the story of the alchemist in ancient traditions. Alchemy was not just about transforming base metals into gold, it was a metaphor for personal transformation. The alchemist's work required patience, discipline, and dedication, but the result was something extraordinary, a substance of unparalleled value. In the same way, the integration of the Puer Aeternus requires effort and perseverance, but it leads to a life of immense richness and depth. This transformation is not about abandoning the eternal child, but about guiding it. The child's energy and creativity are invaluable, but they must be channeled into pursuits that align with our higher goals. This requires clarity of purpose, knowing what we want to achieve and why it matters. It also requires resilience, the ability to stay committed, even in the face of challenges and setbacks. Jung often spoke of the importance of finding one's true self. The authentic core of who we are. The eternal child can help us on this journey by reminding us of our dreams and aspirations. But it is the adult within us that has the strength to bring those dreams to life together. These aspects of the psyche create a dynamic balance, each complementing and enhancing the other. One of the most profound lessons of the Puer Aeternus is the realization that freedom and responsibility are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. True freedom is not the absence of responsibility, but the ability to choose how we live our lives with intention and integrity. It is the freedom to pursue our passions while staying grounded in our commitments, the freedom to dream while also taking action. This insight challenges the modern narrative that glorifies independence and self-interest at the expense of connection and accountability. It reminds us that a meaningful life is not one of endless escape, but one of engagement with our goals, our relationships, and our inner selves. As we integrate this understanding, we begin to see the eternal child not as a weakness, but as a gift. Its energy inspires us to explore, to create and to imagine new possibilities. Its presence reminds us of the wonder and beauty of life, even in the face of hardship. By embracing this archetype, we reclaim our capacity for joy and play qualities that are essential for a balanced and fulfilling existence. But this journey does not end with personal growth. The integration of the Puer Aeternus has implications for the world around us. When we confront our inner child and step into our adult selves, we become better equipped to contribute to our communities and society. We become role models for others, showing that it is possible to honor our dreams while also embracing our responsibilities. In this way, the work we do on ourselves ripples outward, creating a positive impact that extends far beyond our individual lives. By integrating the eternal child, we not only transform ourselves, we help to create a world that values both creativity and accountability, freedom and connection. As we conclude, I invite you to reflect on the journey we've taken together. We began by exploring the allure and challenges of the Puer Aeternus. Delving into its origins and manifestations, we then examined the process of integration, learning how to balance the gifts of the eternal child with the wisdom of the adult. And now we've uncovered the ultimate lesson of this archetype, a lesson that has the power to transform not only our lives, but also our understanding of what it means to live with purpose and authenticity. So I leave you with this question: what will you do with this knowledge? How will you honor the eternal child within you while stepping into the fullness of your adult self? These are not easy questions, but they are vital ones. The answers you find will shape the course of your journey, leading you toward a life of balance, fulfillment, and meaning. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. If this discussion has resonated with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts and insights. Let's continue this conversation and support one another on the path to growth and transformation. Thanks for looking.